Welcome back to the China Dota 2 Supermajor. You are joining us in the deciding match between VGJ.Thunder and Optic. One of these two teams will move to the upper bracket of their group, which is Group D, and the other one will move to the lower bracket. And you want to be in the upper bracket because that gives you a chance to get to the upper bracket of the tournament overall. And if you otherwise would have a chance, you would have to go the whole day, and that's a long day of Dota to be ahead. So you want to take the easy route. You want to win here. Both teams have taken a game off of one another, so it's time to find out what is going to happen in that third game. Here with Nahaz, Fogged, and Gods. And Gods, so far, who would you favor now that you've seen both teams win?
I think it really is 50-50. I think the way VGJ won Game 1 was incredibly convincing, but then the way they lost Game 2 was also incredibly convincing that they should lose the series. So I think the takeaway if you're ROTK is to stick with what we're comfortable on.
Yeah. That's been the book on them for a long time now, that other teams have been saying that, look, this is a team where if you give them their heroes, if you let them play on that script, that they're very, very good. But once you take them outside their comfort zone, they're vulnerable.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well, here we go then. Game 3 is live. We've got a Lycan, Ban, as well as Jakiro, as those were the heroes of VGJ.Thunder was very successful with in that first game round. And we do have the Chen ban coming out from VGJ.Thunder to credit Zai's Chen, who was successful in that second game. And a Bane first pick.
Yep. Optic get first pick again, so I guess they won the Game 3 coin toss as well.
I think so.
We'll see Thunder snag the Death Prophet.
The
I like this. It's comfort, though. This is, you know, going back to your strengths, what they play a lot of. They run the Death Prophet in the mid lane. They can also do it in the side lane. Freeze plays it. Siler plays it. This is the right kind of look from VGJ.Thunder.
Now, that was the big innovation for them around the time of the Bucharest Major. They were one of the first teams to really run that DP in the side lane and prove that that's viable. And it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on towers early if you can secure both of those mid and the safe lane. Now, the Bane from Optic, talking about innovation, Optic was the first team to me that I saw consistently running the Bane in aggro dual lanes as well as in the safe lane. And just having that Bane playing behind, ordinarily when you have a ranged support playing behind one of those melee lane bullies in the off lane, it feels like, okay, he goes forward, you just go on that support and kill him. But Bane is so tanky, trades so well with the max brain sap that you can't necessarily do that.
Yeah, I think Optic and VP are the two big ones for me that stand out, that they run the aggro dual lanes with Bane. Straight up DK pick.
Yeah. They know the matchup from the start of the draft. The Death Prophet's already there, and they also want to snag a mid hero because they know for CCNC his hero pool is going to quickly get diminished if they don't pick it now. DK Razor gets banned, then what have you got left?
I think you need to ban Brood right here as VGJ.Thunder, honestly.
You can't wait for 3-3 to show him how it's done?
Well, I know Peter. So if you remember Birmingham, right, the second series that they played was against Mineski, and Mineski ran kind of a wonky core combo with an off-lane Lycan against Optic in Game 2 and lost. And Peter turned right around and picked that same core combo and won Game 3. Peter is the kind of drafter that...
Yeah, they banned it.
Okay. Yeah. I bet if you don't ban there that the Brood's coming out in the second phase.
More than likely, yeah.
All right, well, the Brood is out, so is the Razor. By the way, I mean, Mirana might not have been the best show in previous game, but what was the overall verdict? Because this was, I think, the first Mirana we've seen.
I don't think you learned anything from that game, honestly.
I think Mirana looked decent.
I mean, okay.
You look at the hero damage stats at the end, it was actually, Mirana was on top by a long margin, so.
It was just such a weird game, and it was a weird skill build. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's like something Mirana's top tier, but I also think the hero looked decent enough where it's like, okay, we could see some more.
All right.
So perhaps a Morphling ban if you're Thunder after that last game. Not sure if that's something they're considering. There was a lot. They did have the damage amp with the Rubik Chen, which makes the Morphling that much more powerful. Yeah. So without those, it's perhaps not as scary.
I like banning out the Slark here too.
I do too.
When you have like Dragon Knight, these heroes that you can just feed Essence Shift stacks off of.
This is all making sense. So, what do you want to see on Zai? Because we got some Zai heroes banned out, obviously on the side of Thunder.
I am okay with seeing the Rubik again this time played by Zai. Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. for sure.
I think either side, and I think either side can still take Sand King.
Yeah.
If you look at how the Night Stalker has been played as a 3 and occasionally as a 5 here in the recent past.
Yeah, Sanking gives you a bit more damage and strong initiation. The Rubik Bane support to it just feels a little underwhelming.
Yeah, it gives you that initiator. Way to start the fight, always. Gives you team fight as well.
All right, well, they ban out the gyrocopter, so
10 seconds remaining.
not too unsurprising, I guess.
Less Shrek untouched so
5
far.
seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
We had it banned, I think, in the first game.
Both games, right?
Yep, he had been,
Oh, yeah,
again,
first phase banned in the second game. You're
he
right.
only got through 2 drafts out of 23 yesterday.
Even after those nerfs.
Yep.
Yep.
Don't think it really fits that. They could do it with the Night Stalker in the offlane, but they're going to get Warlock now for DDC. Reveal as little as possible going into Optics picks.
Long distance Fiend Script Breaker. Good ways to counter initiate, yeah.
Yeah, this is why I feel like Optic likes first pick so much. Just having the last pick in the second phase of the draft is something that Peter likes so much because they almost have to give their lanes away before you do.
Yep. Yeah, at that point you know what like that dual lane with the Night Stalker is going to be, whether the Night Stalker is a core or support. Unless they pick the carry, and well, if they pick the carry, then you know they're carry plus mid,
Exactly.
which is pretty good info. Although I guess theoretically Death Prophet could go 3 position. It does seem like that 8th pick of the draft is a lot stronger than having 10th pick these days.
It feels like 10th pick can be very strong, but you just need very, very good consistent drafting for it to be like VP. You know, VP uses 10th pick so well, but a lot of that is their first 4 picks are so stable.
And their VP.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, fair enough.
I'm not sure what Optic want to get here. The DK, it can be flexible, but we may just see a Zai hero here since at this point giving away that support to it isn't too big of a problem. Get a hero that can match up against Night Stalker.
That's
Yeah,
the
Sand
Sand
King.
King.
Yeah, that's when we were.
I would have been surprised if that had been something other than Sand King Rubik.
Yeah, so they're going to wait to see Thunder reveal their lanes before they commit to another core hero, and then we'll see what this Optic lineup is going to truly look like.
I wonder if this is a situation where they could actually go for that Earth Spirit. I know it's a hero that completely has fallen off, but Fade's still a player who plays it, and they've got the Fatal Bond combo, right?
5 seconds.
Are you sure it's going to be Yang on the Night Stalker and not Fade?
I mean, we don't know it just yet.
Could
yeah.
very well be Fade.
I'm just throwing it out,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Thunder run a lot more core Night Stalker than a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gone away from that recently though. Only once in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Compared to 3 times is 4.
It's tough to pick an offlaner here because there's so many different carries that can always counter pick you, and
Ooh.
it
Okay.
will be a offlane Night Stalker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Core NS.
Warlock
Assuming we're
Skywrath
not going to get,
supports.
assuming we're not going to get something crazy like a mid Skywrath, which I think you can rule out.
Yeah.
It's not Fog's birthday after all. I mean, you do like the hero, or you don't like it mid?
Oh no, I like that. I don't like that hero mid.
No.
I like the hero though. Skywrath's always really fun. Fun to watch. Good pressure hero.
Right, and it makes a hero like DK, who's ordinarily so much of his strength is in his tank ability, feel
Yep.
really weak.
It's that amp. It's literally, I was about to say the same thing.
They
Amp
have
for the burst.
no disable though, nothing to set the Skywrath ultimate,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really mesh with the overall draft. I feel.
It feels
what
like the
does-
5th pick has to be a void.
Void. Exactly
Yeah.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, then that's an easy ban for Optic, surely.
Yeah, and that's
Starts your
yeah.
sinking.
okay.
Yeah.
Blast from the past.
I think Thunder's in trouble. Then again, I thought the same thing in the last draft, and they come out with the Brood, so you never know.
I'm sure RTK has had some harsh words for the team after that previous game.
I think the team should have some harsh words for RTK. Like, we don't have a roof player, big guy.
5 seconds remaining.
All right, so what does Optic need? If we're looking for a setup for VGJ.Thunder, what is Optic lacking? I mean, it's going to be a Pycat hero.
Yep.
What does that carry need to be able to do?
And they've got no lockdown like you were saying. I think they could go for
Yeah.
something like PL.
Yeah, it's one a farming hero.
PF was really good.
Something with good wave clear would be nice, which maybe isn't so much the PL, but right now it's. I mean, Darkseer, Sand King both do decent, but
Could they go back for the Luna?
Sure. I think again, anything if you're confident that you're going to be able to secure the Luna's lane and get her BKB,
yeah.
Oh, Luna is the one that gets
ban.
banned.
Yeah, you're thinking what is not going to get demolished by a Skywrath? Night Stalker, which most of those standard meta heroes, you get enough regen, you're going to do fine. You've got a Bane to also support you.
I think PL the Troll look pretty nice, right?
Oh, yeah.
I quite like PL here. I don't think they have good ways to deal with the illusions at all.
I think Troll is really vulnerable against
seconds
Skywrath,
remaining.
right? Because he needs to build that Battle Fury in most games and then get
Yeah,
the BKB.
that's true.
5 seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
I like the PL the most.
Yeah, I think
that's
PL
the
is
first
a
one.
sick call, honestly.
I was just thinking like the other heroes they could be looking at.
They
take out
banned the morph over Void.
Okay.
I mean, Void against the Sanking Darkseer lane sounds pretty rough.
Wow, yeah.
Early levels when you've got a long cooldown on Time Walk is not going to be fun for him.
I mean, you have the Warlock. That heal
True.
is so super efficient.
Yeah. That's a good point.
10 seconds remaining.
I'm just trying to get away from Fogged's PL because I don't see anything that's better
5
here,
seconds
honestly.
remaining.
I think PL can get silenced by Skywrath early, unless you have, of course, your army already. But trying to think other heroes that can deal with the
I can see
pressure.
Big Veno. Oh, okay. This is a
Okay.
hero I was thinking for them in game 1.
Okay, so
Interesting.
Spectre, Darkseer. You've seen this combo a lot of the times.
Yeah, I like the Darkseer a lot. Just having a
Yeah.
way to give Spectre more damage output,
Exactly.
because you just feel like you're not useful as a Spectre until you get a Radiance, but with Iron Shell that changes very quickly.
Bloodseeker.
I don't.
Looks like a really good pick this game.
You like that?
Yeah, I think their draft before this was lacking something, and this Bloodseeker makes up for a lot of the weaknesses they had.
And the Rupture can make people stand still with for the Skywrath.
My biggest scare is that they have a Warlock ulti as their stun.
Yeah. You have no disable for that Bloodseeker.
Yeah.
As far as core matchups goes, it's a great Bloodseeker game, but yeah, the overall draft and
Like
how
you
it
rupture
meshes,
somebody,
it looks rough.
You rupture somebody, they TP out. How do you stop it?
Yeah, and you're
Like-
a carry Bloodseeker. You don't want to go that Yules build, really.
Yeah,
so.
Armel did it, right? When he was playing the Bloodseeker mid, he went the
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yules
right,
build.
that's right.
I like the Yules a lot.
He dominated.
Optic.
Optic for
Yeah.
Nahaz. Fogged.
I'm on Optic.
I will go Optic as well for game number 3.
Wow,
Uh-oh.
very convincing. I
Pamela
mean,
curse.
last time you
Yeah.
guys were convincing, it didn't really end up going too well. But let's find out what's going to happen in the third and deciding game of this series with Trent and Zayori.
Thank you very much, Sheever. Loading into game number 3, the decider. Trent, which draft are you favoring here, my friend?
I would like to send a curse the other way. I'm kind of digging the VGJ.Thunder draft, personally.
I am
I
too. So we've
can't-
got
I
a
can't
panel
get on
versus
Dax
casters here.
yeah.
I like this.
I try so hard to get on the side of the Grape Crusader, and Darkseer just lets me down every time.
Yeah.
3-3 is a great Darkseer player. He spams it all the time, plays it a lot. But the hero it feels like you need so long to come online unless he executes with the helm. Maybe he gets a lot of those kills
Yeah.
early, gets the Centaur, gets the Ion Shell, gets some kills, makes some stuff happen. But personally, I feel like in the combination of a Darkseer and a Spectre, it's going to be really hard to execute in those early game fights. Like, yes, Ion Shell can add a lot of damage onto a Spectre, but you got to kind of make this work in the team fight, and it gets kind of awkward.
Yeah.
So
It reminds me a little bit
Yeah.
of like the Witch Doctor last game, where on paper it's great. The Ion Shell can enable the DK to get solo kills he wouldn't normally find. Same with the Sand King, even the Spectre. It feels like an okay Darkseer game, but I think the tempo mismatch is what I'm really afraid of. Night Stalker, Skywrath, Bloodseeker, these are heroes that want to fight early. We've seen Bloodseekers really dominate from the first couple minutes, and if they can carry that momentum, I worry that this might be more reminiscent of game number 1, where Optic are struggling to get that footing, while VGJ.Thunder are just farming the map, taking objectives with that Death Prophet.
yeah, and one thing that's great here too with the Bloodseeker is that when Darkseer was being picked a lot, we had these heroes like Juggernaut being picked up, like heroes that can kind of survive through the Ion Shell and everything. Bloodseeker was one of those heroes that is a fantastic core matchup versus the Darkseer, but he wasn't really common at the time. But now Bloodseeker, he's got some buffs, he's a scary hero, really irritating to deal with when he can just last hit every single creep. He's got so much damage, so many denies when they're getting low from the Ion Shell, and he can get all his HP back. He is completely unaffected by Ion Shell.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think game 2, what really stood out to me was how little of an impact Sylar had relative to game number 1, right? His Lycan in game 1 was just completely unmatched. And then you go into game 2 and he's struggling to hit arrows and even struggling to farm. You know, he's had some space in that early lane.
Yeah.
I think VGJ.Thunder really shine when they draft and play around Sylar, making sure he gets that space and gets that good start that he needs. And they will find that matchup down in the bottom lane, but up top, that's, so yeah.
Yeah, they're going to bring the Sand King down here. Kind of
Musical
expecting,
lanes.
Yeah, we were looking for this pressure on the Spectre you kind of expect, right? In terms of like the Skywrath Mage, who you want to be focusing on. And maybe that actually is where he's heading, because Fade's out. He's like, yeah, this matchup is totally fine.
Yeah, so we've got dual lanes now, at least for the moment, at the top. PPD on the Bane trying to support this Spectre up against the Night Stalker Warlock.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for the Spectre this game, only because it doesn't look like a lot of the Spectre drafts we've been seeing lately in terms of that really secure lane, right? Almost all of these Spectres have had the Warlock. Non-stop heals, all the spam, and just kind of keeps them up and going. Bane, somewhat defensive, somewhat good in the lane in terms of like his own trading back forward with the brain sap, but he can't really help with the Spectre if he gets a little bit low. So they just have to be a little bit cautious, but so far everything looks great for Pycat.
Yeah, no doubt. And the off lane, also a dual lane here. Zai has rotated back in, and Fade will be supporting Sylar, who's, well, handling this just fine, as we talked about, able to just deal with that Ion Shell. And Skywrath putting on a lot of pressure. Nice stun from Zai, but maybe a turn the other way. Has to use that surge. Zai will live.
I really like the way they just turn aggressively. They do from VGJ.Thunder. Just don't give anything, you know? Of course, the Thirst Vision, a little bit of a problem there. Has the stick, but still in trouble. He's chasing.
That's a first blood. Easy peasy for Fade. Will end up going down, as he suicides into the tower, but still, first blood is drawn. They put the pressure on, and they are securing this lane for Sylar, absolutely.
Also gives them the TP top. They can bait this in a little bit here. They might be able to grab Pycat.
Going to be close. Pycat getting very low. PPD trying to get in the front. Uses the Nightmare. A few more right clicks and they'll have this, but that's going to be it. Pycat, nowhere to go. Bloodseeker, one hell of a hero.
It's just on the other side of the map. Doesn't even do anything. It's great.
The global presence.
Gotta love it.
Now bottom lane though, Bloodseeker now initiated on, taking some decent damage. Will have to make it back to his tower. Zai still only level 1, so after the Burrow Strike, he doesn't have much but the old Crab Claw.
But thank you for shoving the lane into my tower with the Ion Shell, and I'll just heal back up. But I love the ways that Zai's playing this correct, though, right? He has the pressure instantly, because he can't allow him to get back to full HP just off this wave.
Yep. And 3-3 actually going to surge in. Not diving into the tier 2, but gives him another love tap.
Zai again with that Mango. He knows Sylar wants that HP back.
There's only one way to play this lane with the Bloodseeker, and it is reliant on getting those last hits.
Yeah, they'll bring down DDC, though. Going to help out, just ensure it, kind of get him over the hump there with the
As if Sylar didn't have enough regen already.
Yeah, I know.
It's a smart rotation. So mid lane, this is one we haven't talked about too much. The DK on the Death Prophet. DK favored matchup, at least in some of these early levels. The Breathe Fire, just so irritating, as well as that Dragon Blood. So not surprised to see CC doing quite well, topping the charts, but it's also not that bad for Freeze.
Yeah, I think Fog was actually specifically mentioning this matchup where CCNC was up against no one. He did very well as the DK. He actually kind of took the game, took that lane over a no one Death Prop. So very impressive stuff.
Zai, that's a Blood Right kill. And this is starting to look very reminiscent of these other Bloodseeker games we saw yesterday. Trent back in the top lane now. PPD in a little bit too deep. Fade going to be able to finish him off. A little more magic damage. Pycat, he'll be all right, but 4-1, VGJ.Thunder now 1K net worth in the lead.
It feels like things are going well because they're pulling those supports down the bottom lane, so you kind of expect like, okay, space for Pycat, this is great, but even when Warlock rotates, you still have this really annoying support in the Skywrath Mage who's now going to be pressuring your Bane instead.
Yep. Okay. Slow
Look
and
at that
steady
regen
here.
rune for Freeze. So nice.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Fade up
he's
top,
dead.
brought down by PPD.
My bad, Scriff. I'll take the blame on that one. They can get him right into the tower.
Happens to the
but
best
that
of us.
regen rune was a lot of value. I mean, we can all agree, right?
Yeah, you know,
Like,
Trent, that was a first-class ticket to Value Town right there.
Thank you. No problem.
Okay, so shake it off, right back in it. Now in the top lane, Yang, he's come back, and Skywrath will be able to TP back in. Pycat is having a pretty good lane, but it's even with the Bloodseeker, so certainly not finding a big advantage there. Zai in the bottom lane does connect with a stun on Warlock, but in comes Sylar. He's got the silence. Who's actually going to be the one to fall? DDC regenerating pretty quickly. It's Zai that can't take the damage. Shadow Ward super effective against this Ion Shell. Darkseer does get the kill, but it's a 2-for-1. Now in the top lane.
They were able to invade in here. They got the bounty rune. PPD did steal theirs, though, so they'll just go 1-for-1.
So just a 1-for-1. But great trade in the bottom lane. Of course, the Bloodseeker, the big breadwinner, #1 on net worth, despite not being #1 on last hits.
Almost level 6. And 3-3 will be sad.
Yep.
And one thing that's great about this Bloodseeker pick too is that they have the spam on the Skywrath Mage. Nothing better than having annoying spamming heroes in your other lane when you're playing Bloodseeker. You know, constantly low HP. They don't have any sort of HP regen for these heroes on the side lanes either.
It's pretty brutal. It's like Darkseer is already kind of countered because he can't pressure the lane the way he would against most carries with the regen. And now that Sylar's level 6, it's like, oh, Surge, that's a pretty cool spell.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me do more damage. It's that double counter. Is now Zai on his way in with another Ion Shell.
I mean, at least they know this is coming, right? He's level 6, so Zai's going to be here trying to guard the Darkseer, trying to ensure that
Definitely
doesn't happen.
not a surprise. That's for sure.
Oh, Warlock, though. That is real juicy if they wanted to go for a Surge play. But the defense of the Bloodseeker. DDCL, he wants them to go. He's like trying to bait this right now.
Yeah. Definitely feels like this Skywrath pick has worked out pretty well. Fade's been putting on a lot of pressure. 2-2-1 has taken a couple of tumbles, but getting some pretty decent net worth compared to the other supports, and just feels like unrelenting pressure as you would expect from a support Skywrath at this stage.
Yeah, not too bad. A lot of the pressure has been onto the supports, though, as you said. Like, not so much onto the Spectre himself, so Pycat, again, doing surprisingly well, I want to say.
Yeah.
Oh, top, though. PPV.
Going to be another freebie, perhaps. It's a nice Nightmare, and no, he stays alive. Almost turns it the other way onto Yang, but
That's
not
a
enough for the
long
kill.
run home, though, with Thirst going.
That is a great point. Bloodseeker pretty happy with this, and just like that, he sees Zai, knows there isn't a Burrow Strike. There are a couple of stick charges. Healing Salve also gets used just so Sylar doesn't get that extra movement speed. Ends up dodging the stun. Needs to be a little careful here, but the Shadow Ward will pick him back up. It's level 2 now as Warlock has hit 3.
Yeah, he's not going to commit for the Rupture, though. Just didn't quite see the moment there. Didn't have the Blood right back yet, so... that means PPV will be healed back up by the time he wants to go aggressive again.
Oh, initiation on the Bloodseeker, but again, the heal is there, and this time he turns Rupture, Blood Right. They will move on to the other side of it, and Sylar has to back up. Gets relatively low, but now Fade rotates in. Zai will not be able to TP. It goes off, but he dies in the well. Is now 33, trying to move around the trees. Does not have mana for the TP, but now has Soul Ring and Magic Stick. This is going to be a little bit tight. Sylar does need to be careful.
Why don't we trade out here? Someone else take care of this.
that was a little close for comfort, but Sylar does live. They find the kill, and it's another advantage for VGJ.Thunder. Now mid lane, CC&C, he'll TP out. The panel talked about this, Trent. Very limited ways to stop these TPs from VGJ, especially with that nerf to the Night Stalker.
Also true, but yeah. Once he sees the Void come out, he's just like, yep, see ya. I'm done.
That's true.
That means 350 until we're back into nighttime, or until we get level 6 here for Yang. So going to be pretty quiet for him from a while. And now mid lane, though, they want to go again here. Rupture back in 5 seconds. Excellent timing here, really using the momentum here. Just second Rupture's up. Let's go kill CC&C.
Yeah. Also, with the Exorcism available, this is a great rotation. 3 heroes have to back up as the Blood Right comes. CC&C getting very low. Good stun across from Zai. Helps break things up, but it's not enough to save the Dragon Knight. 9-3. VGJ.Thunder grab yet another kill. And again, Dragon Knight just feeling a little bit lackluster in this game. Not that CC&C is misplaying it, but the hero itself just so susceptible to those kind of rotations at this stage.
Now, what is the currency conversion from stuns to silences? Because I know they don't have a lot of stuns, but they got 4 silences. And in that fight, there's a lot of green heroes just walking in circles.
That's
because they're
true.
all silenced, and they just could not do a thing while CC&C's ruptured.
Yeah, that's very true. We'll see initiation now on to Sylar. Gets stunned by Zai.
Wand.
And I think this is a dead Bloodseeker. The wand helps a little bit, but they are committed for this. Sleep onto the Warlock, only level 5, so no chaotic offering. Zai with another stun. Yang is rotated down, but I don't know if we'll even be able to find the counter kill on Zai. In fact, he's going to die himself. They had another TP on the way, but it gets canceled. 33 with a triple kill on that Darkseer.
There you go. That's an Ion Shell and a Spectre. I mean,
big swing of momentum.
You know? Don't ever doubt the panel. They know what they're talking about.
They're going to need a few more of those, though, Trent. It's still a lead for VGJ.Thunder.
Yeah, but this is a Spectre. I mean, you're not that far behind. You're against a Bloodseeker Night Stalker. This feels pretty damn good. And look at that build from Pycat. A round of applause if he actually goes for it.
It's a Blade Mail.
Treads into Blade Mail. Love it.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
value stats.
Are you really going to try and get a
build-up.
Radiance this game?
Well, maybe in the mid game.
You'd
right?
be a bold man to get it first.
I think if after you go Blade Mail, you win a couple fights, you've got 2,000 gold, maybe you commit to the Radiance. Yeah, now, that's certainly a fine build. But yeah, you don't want to go phase boots, ring Radiance. That feels awfully risky in a situation like this, especially Pycat knowing he's going to have to fight a little bit more than usual. And with that Ion Shell, it's a little bit more appealing, right? He has way more damage output than you would normally expect from a Spectre at 10 minutes if he has the Ion Shell on.
Well, once again, much like they lurked in the mid lane, they're going to lurk in the bottom lane. And the pressure into this tower with the catapult.
kind of curious what build Sylar is going to commit to this game on the Bloodseeker.
Yeah, we'll
talk
be out
about
for the Blade Mail again.
how versatile this hero can be. But Rupture down bottom onto 33, and this time they will commit the Golem. Well, that's an interrupt, the one
lane,
interrupt
though.
that they have. Yang, yeah, he's going to get gone on, so they will go 1 for 1. Night Stalker for 33, pretty even trade around the map. However, VGJ.Thunder did use a couple cooldowns.
Wow, they use Exorcism bottom as well.
Yeah, they want this tier 1 to go down nice
With the
and quick.
Golem?
Well, the nice thing here is that they can rotate top. They'll get this tier 1, and then they can make the rotation to defend. Still with
Yeah,
some
but they
time
won't
on
have
Exorcism.
Exorcism. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not.
That's.
A couple
I'm
of seconds.
surprised, but they're just saying, you know what, Exorcism, first use, maybe hard to get the most value out of it anyway.
Let's just commit for the tower.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Feels like
maybe-
a very heavy commit.
Maybe that's agree. We've already used the Warlock ult. We're committed. We might as well secure the objective.
Get them
that
on
we
the same
came for.
timer here. Might as well put them both on cooldown. I wouldn't want to have one ultimate.
Well, when you say it like that, it seems like a silly thing to have said. So I will redact it, Trent. Thank you. Warlock, though, that level 6, big stuff. Much needed for DDC. Epicenter, and that's a super easy kill on Sylar. Just overstepping his bounds there. No allies in the vicinity.
Yep, using the haunt there too. So they have that little bit of global presence. If someone catches them out with a stun there, like Zai just runs into him, quick TP from PPD just to secure it. And I mean, he TP'd out in the face of the Warlock because, again, there are no stuns.
Yeah, when you know that Golem's down. So some Yule Scepter is going to be on the way. I'll see some initiation onto the Death Prophet. There's a hasted Zai deep in enemy territory. Has a ward, but a little bit cautious about the placement.
All right, so I was hesitant to give a lot of, positive words towards the Darkseer pick, just because, it feels like a hero that has a lot of rough games, but so far so good. He's got himself the Helm.
No,
He's
this
got
has
the
been
Troll.
great.
He's getting active with it in terms of pushing some waves. He did great in that fight with the Iron Shell, got a triple kill for himself, so his gold's going up. I want to see some auras. I feel like that's the whole reason to get this hero in this game. Protect yourself in these early engagements. See if we can get ourselves a Pipe or a Crimson. Personally, I'm pretty partial to the Pipe. Feels pretty good here. I mean, even a Greaves doesn't feel that bad this game just because of like the pure damage, right, from the Bloodseeker.
Sure. Well, movement into the enemy territory here from Optic. It does feel like this Darkseer has actually had a pretty good amount of space. His farm is right up there with the mid laner. That's one of the great things about this hero. Just a little bit of time in the jungle, a little bit of time in the lane, and he will farm.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know 3-3 in his micro with like the Visage and everything. Just doing this kind of simple plays. He's in on the small camp. He's got the Iron Shell creep in the wave.
Yeah.
That's a lot of gold.
It adds
up
up
very quickly.
And it also just gives you that control. You've got creeps pushing into the tier 2 top, so it puts that pressure onto VGJ.Thunder with this smoke rotation. We have to make something happen because we know our top has potential to be pressured. You look at the positioning of Optic. They find Pycat, the silence, and, well, Blade Mail pretty good against Skywrath. It gets him low, but not enough to turn it around in that 3-on-1 situation.
They've secured the top lane. All these wards, all these heroes, but Pycat's down here, so he was probably really close to making that rotation, I would bet, into the top to kind of rotate through.
Yeah.
So, and now he will go back for that kind of safety item in the Radiance. Not too surprising, very valuable this game against the right clicks, just like the Night Stalker and the Bloodseeker, just kind of like running at you. And well, Sylar's got similar ideas.
And it's also the farming item for Spectre, right? That's what allows her to just kind of mindlessly go from camp to camp, take them out very easily. PPD.
You're calling Spectre players mindless.
Initiated
Wow.
on? No.
So
I'm calling
rude.
Radiance buyers mindless. But Zai actually initiated on here. The silences are starting to come out. Skywrath very low. Spirit Siphon slowing him down. PPD gets killed on the backside. An awkward fight as Optic are all split about, but 33 diving into the tower, just trying to hold the enemies away from the rest of his team. He'll be successful, but it ends up being a 2-0, obviously in favor of VGJ.Thunder.
Yeah, Optic thought they had that area secured, just kind of up on the high ground, and then this fight breaks out where they're a little bit too split. And Skywrath Mage the closest one to going down there, but manages to survive and escape. So decent gain over there, and that's 400 gold in the bank for that Radiance. And Sylar racing ahead now of that Spectre, much closer because he didn't have to stop by for Blade Mail because his hero doesn't really need it right now.
Yeah, absolutely right. Still a very tight game. Feels a little bit similar to last game where VGJ.Thunder were starting to pull ahead. Optic bounced back and now going back in favor of VGJ. But
There is this like pressure back on Optic though, right? Because they want to like pick a fight right now with Radiance. Sorry, with the Haunt, right? Because it's just like, look, let's go fight. Let's use this Blade Mail. Let's get something going. Let's use our DK ult. And that was what that attempt in the mid lane was, and that attempt around all that vision.
Yeah.
If they had have secured some kills around that tower, they could kind of push down this tier 1, but they find nothing.
Set up on the Night Stalker, TP in from Zai. They're actually going to go in onto the Skywrath, it looks like. Fiend's Grip now used on Yang. Faye going to run the other way as he silences Bane. Drops the ultimate, but not really going to be on the mark. It does allow Yang to survive. Now Faye just going to try to buy as much time as he can, as he does get stunned and brought down by Pycat's Spectre.
That worked out shockingly well. They didn't commit the Haunt, so that's one reason why they weren't able to get like both kills or something there, so understandable, but they brought in 4 heroes.
Oops, there's the blink from CCNC. Initiation onto Freeze with that Dragon Tail, but there are reinforcements nearby. DDC has the Chaotic Offering. He's pump faking a little bit. There it is as they dive the tower, connects on 3, gets off some Fatal Bonds. Freeze will live. The Spirit Siphon healing him back up is 33. Deep in the trees, will surge away. Not a bad use of the Chaotic Offering here, but a little bit disappointing for VGJ.Thunder given that Optic just disengaged immediately, and now that big cooldown's used and not really much comes of it besides keeping his team alive.
At the same time, that was Haunt. I mean, that's another big cooldown for Radiant side.
No, I think totally worth it to use it there, but they have so few stuns, I think you want every Warlock ultimate to turn into something a little more than, well, we didn't die.
Yeah, that's true. They have the Exorcism though. They were pretty well set up mid, but they still don't feel confident enough to actually push in forward with the Golem or anything, which is kind of interesting. I guess maybe just because Freeze was a little bit low.
So, big item on the way for Skywrath. Fade looking for the Rod of Atos. Still 900 gold to go, but I think an item on this hero that allows him to get those solo kills, or at least have that potential a lot more effectively.
It's not a stun, but it's a root. You know, you'll take it at this point.
It's something. Lock him in place. Now down bottom, Yang in the Nightmare. PPD sets it up, but follow-up's not going to be there. There's also a Bloodseeker nearby.
It feels like PPD's playing like Io and Bane. You know, one of the most like iconic duos of all time. One of the most paired support or like hero pairings ever is the Io and the Bane. Just always used for those global rotations. They're kind of doing that now. Yeah, Pycat up there real deep.
Yep, and they know he doesn't have a Haunt, so no easy getaway. No friends nearby. Yeah, the Blade Mail hurts.
Friends, man, like they're so low.
He returned a lot of damage, but that's the second time where it's just been a solo Spectre, and generally speaking, that's what you want to do. That 4+1, you use Haunt to get in the fight, Spectre farm solo, but without that Haunt available, it ends up just being an easy kill for VGJ.
Yeah, it feels like they're having a hard time. I mean, a lot of their wards get dewarded. You look at Radiant Vision, they don't see much on that dire side of the map, so they weren't quite sure where all the heroes were, and well, Pycat gets wrong.
Oh,
Epicenter on the fog turn there, just thinking, if they come around that corner, I'm going to get them so good.
It was a pretty nice play, though. It's a high expected value play for Zai. It doesn't work out that time.
Stomp, like, it could have worked.
And if it worked, that's a moment where you go, Zai is a god.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, your Spectre is dead. You don't need Epicenter, right? It's fine.
Hey, you miss all the shots you don't take. What did we learn in Game 2, Trent?
That's right.
Radiance up. Sylar ready to party. And looks like S&Y might be his next choice. Has a Yasha queued up for now. Spectre's still pretty far away from
That's a
Radiance.
hero.
Yep.
That's a Darkseer.
That is a Darkseer, and that is also a ultimate from the Skywrath Mage that kind of just tickled, but the follow-up damage certainly did more than that. CCNC now left behind. He does have an Elder Dragon form, but it's not going to do a hell of a lot. He'll be silenced. The damage is just too much. That'll make it a twofer in the mid. And a tip on top of it. Oh, poor CC.
That feels like he was microing a hero somewhere. It's not or a creep. Like, how often do you see someone walk in the river?
It was a little peculiar.
That's not a common path. I don't see a lot of people doing that one when there's tier 1 still standing for the enemy team.
Definitely
so he just
peculiar.
dies.
I mean, the Darkseer is pretty tanky, relatively survivable. He's got the Hood of Defiance and the Helm of the Dominator, so maybe thinking, sure, this is a risky play, but I've got Surge, I've got all this magic absorption.
I mean, you're not Slarner, though. You're not doing 700 move speed down there or something.
I'm just trying to point out the positives. You know, we know that 33 is a very experienced Darkseer player, and it's an atypical play. No other way to say it.
It was a unique play. It was an interesting play.
Oh, my. Well, things looking a little bit better for VGJ.Thunder, grabbing a bit more of a net worth lead. The pipe has now come out on Yang's Night Stalker, so they are getting closer to some of these core items. CCNC now just going right for the BKB after Blink on the DK. Pretty standard item build there. Looks like a wraparound potentially from
They
Optic.
know. Look at VGJ.Thunder, though. The positioning. They see this kind of play. They're just sending this Night Stalker pipe ahead.
Zai in the backline, he'll channel the epicenter, but it gets interrupted. A pretty decent Warlock ultimate. Now the Blood Right comes. VGJ just trying to find a target to stick on. They lose DDC, but they bring down Zai. 33 almost TP's out, but they have the Yules to interrupt it.
out of the fight.
Oh my, now Sylar though
It's
getting
the
low.
rundown.
He's gonna try to run away. He gets put in the Nightmare, but he is gonna survive. Now they're splitting their ways. CCNC silenced, headed towards the Roche pit. And on the other side, it's PPD getting chased down by Yang. No way to survive. And it'll be a 1 for 4, losing only the position 5 of VGJ.Thunder. Pycat,
God,
I think he dodged a bullet. I mean, he's still just trying to get this Radiance. He's got the recipe, 1,900 gold, still has 2K gold to farm. If he just jumps into that fight, it compounds the losses.
Well, he was in the fight, and then he just bailed. He went off to the east, and he said, sorry, guys, this ain't going well. Y'all get hit by the
Committing to
golem
the
ulti.
fight, I guess is what I
feel
should
what you're
have
saying.
said. Yeah. You know, well, you just look at that, and it's just like, well, where was the Spectre? Why was he alone? But I don't think Pycat could have really done anything. It was a really smart call, though, from Sylar to just go for this Radiance first item. A lot of games, it feels very risky on the Bloodseeker, but the way the Spectre itemized, we were really excited about this Blade Mail, but they haven't really been able to play around it the way we were thinking, and now this mismatch on the Radiance timing has given VGJ a pretty decent advantage in these team fights, it feels like.
They've tried to play around it for sure, though. Like, they know that, you know, he's trying to come in on these fights and try and use that because they're well aware. A Night Stalker, Bloodseeker, Skywrath Mage, they're going to be fighting you a lot early. They're just going to be waiting for DP ult, going in for objectives there, and forcing you into fights unless you just want to give it up for free. So, Blade Mail's still the right call, but Atos used kind of a Nightmare one end. And
Atos Nightmare, okay, that's one way for it to go. PPD now on the run as reinforcements are here. Concussive connects, and they are still going to pursue Breeze in the front lines. There's that Yule's Scepter.
Still nighttime for 2 more minutes.
And meanwhile, up top, the rest of VGJ.Thunder, they go in on to 33, and, well, we're seeing why Bloodseeker is so darn good against Darkseer. It's not just that laning counter. Normally, Surge is your get-out-of-jail-free card, not with Rupture.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. And cleaning up his towers, opening up the road pit. They want to use that Exorcism, knock it down, still have the 10-second BKB. Things looking very good for VGJ.Thunder.
Down bottom, Zai in a little bit deep, and whoa, gets clipped by the Blood Right, and Sylar gets a freebie. That was unfortunate for the Sand King.
8K lead, but it's a Spectre. You can never count him out quite yet.
Radiance is definitely big. After he gets the Radiance, what's the item for Pycat, though? I think it's just immediate. You got to tank up.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking like these heart. I mean, Manta is always a nice item, and against 4 silences, it's pretty damn tempting.
That's a good point, actually. If there were ever a Manta game on Spectre, this
but
feels like it.
He's so far behind, though, that like you might have to go for one of those like
Such an
tankier
expensive
ones.
item, and after you get it, it feels a bit underwhelming on Spectre. It doesn't feel like it packs that same punch like a Radiance or a Diffusal or something that really opens up your ability to kill. Tough game for Optic. A little bit of de-warding happening here.
Well, if Exorcism wasn't enough, how about a DD? That should help you do Roche a little better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, to their credit, it's been sitting there for 1:15. This isn't the DD rune I have trouble with.
No.
I have trouble when it spawns when you're all sitting next to the pit.
Yep. But this is turning into the old classic and makes what would normally be a fairly risky Roche, especially with Haunt available. I guess the DK ult has already been used, but he's still at about half duration. Here's the initiation. PPD just gets dropped by the Skywrath. There's the power of that Atos for the solo kill. Zai not going to be able to TP out. They get the Roche, and still Optic lose 2. Not quite the worst case scenario, but certainly not great. Almost a 10K lead, and, well, Toby couldn't have said it better. It's a disaster.
I tell you, Toby, Owen, Fogg, they're all getting in on our casts here. These chat wheels, man.
It's a tough
They're
one.
whispering in my ear. Got the worm up there.
So Pycat just trying to live. He does have the Radiance now, and it looks like he has agreed with your analysis, Trent. Manta Style is going to be the item of choice, or at least it's what he's got queued up. Let's see if he'll be able to pick it up.
It's sort of a feel-good item. It does add quite a bit of damage, right? You get on top of the target you want, you pop that thing.
Yeah, it's certainly good.
I get some Bloodseeker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's an issue with this Bloodseeker. I don't think Spectre can solve it herself.
There is not a perfect item that will fix all of these issues.
Speaking of Radiance Manta. Wow, thanks, Sylar. Get that going.
Is Lincoln's too defensive for Spectre this game?
I mean, it feels kind of good, but yeah,
I think so, too. I think if you're committing to that, it's almost like, well, why not
There's
just go
also,
for the
like,
heart?
think about all the stuff that goes through the Lincolns, too. It's like,
That's a fair
you
point.
have the Blood Right, you just have the Silence from the Death Prophet.
That was, oh, he just used Epi on that illusion. There's a Bloodseeker illusion there. That's
that'll get
unfortunate.
you. The old Manta reveal
Okay.
right there.
Well, Not the biggest deal. It's only an epicenter, but
I think Optic are a real hate on for illusions.
they really, yeah.
That's another ultimate.
That has been a recurring theme in this best-of-3 series so far. 25-10. It is now a 5-figure lead for VGJ.Thunder, 11K net worth. They do lose their tier 1 tower mid.
I mean, you know your game's going well when your DK gets the tier 1 at 25 minutes.
That is
surely Optic are
that is a fair point.
mint.
This Skywrath was just such a good pick. Fagan and TP out in the danger zone, surrounded by 5 heroes.
Yeah, I mean, he got picked at a time where like the biggest concern was his Dragon Knight too, and he's just such a good hero, cutting through that high armor, high HP regen.
Yeah.
Skywrath just like, boom, the burst, lay it on.
The burst.
Yeah. Overall, just a great hero too. I think,
CC&C and a Haunt. They want to commit to this.
Get the
Warlock, the
golem.
target of choice, and it's a good pick. DDC goes down. However, they use Haunt for that. They use Elder Dragon form. And that's it. They kill the position
and
5.
there's no Roche. They don't start a fight after.
Yeah, so very unlikely they'll get some more objectives. However, that is more time. CC&C just gets his BKB, so definitely not bad for Optic. I think at this point they'll take any kills that they can get.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a prequel to the fights that we need from Optic. We need that Haunt to come through. We need to kill the Warlock, and you need Zai. He's going to be the real key hero during these engagements because he needs to find some 2-man burrow strike. Like, he needs to use that vision of the Haunt to find that big initiation to get something good going. And CC&C's got to pick his target and everything, so Pycat, he knows his job, and he did it right there. But a little bit of luck has to come in or some good scouting.
Yeah, man, Night Stalker, good at giving vision in that situation. I'll tell you what, this Yule's Scepter on Death
I'll tell you
Prophet,
what.
You know, it's a core item. You see it every game, but this is one of the most value Yule's Scepters I think we have ever seen. It's interrupted like 5 TPs this game. It is their one stun that has secured some of these kills.
That's a Dota Plus challenge, you know, trying to interrupt a bunch of channeled
Well,
TPs there. Like, geez, he's just rolling to the shards.
Freeze is double dipping right now. He's looking good in the Supermajor, and he's also racking up the shards.
Oh, man, what a value play.
Indeed, this Darkseer's farm has really fallen off, though. Look at 33's inventory. It's exactly the same as it was when we looked at him 10 minutes ago.
He couldn't finish the hood, and I agree with his assessment to stop going for the pipe. Yeah, he just had to stop at the hood because he just died too many times, and he's like, all right, we need something else in these fights. I need a Blink Dagger.
Centaur will get brought down. Zai looking for a Yule's Scepter of his own. What is the game plan for Optic? Like right now, I'm struggling to see what is the turn?
I mean, look at Zai. There's your game plan.
Just cut waves, put pressure on.
Just delay, hold, try and. I mean,
what's scaring me?
Legendary comebacks.
So
okay.
Spectre is farming very well,
Right.
but so is Sylar. You know,
Okay.
so is Freeze.
But give me your legendary hero comebacks. Who's there?
Tidehunter.
Darkseer. Darkseer, the vacuum. Come on.
Okay, back wall.
Yeah, you know, you hold out for that high
Blink
ground.
Aghanim's Refresher. Yeah, he's going to be tearing this game apart.
It's not about his spells. It's about his vacuum into other spells. The Epicenter, the Burrow Strike. That's your way back into this game.
Yeah, back into Epicenter.
Is it going to happen? No. Highly unlikely.
Well, they just don't have
just
that wombo
ask Dota
combo.
Plus.
It's
Actually,
not
Dota
enough.
Plus is pretty kind right now. Only a
What does it say?
63% chance.
Really?
I mean, I'd be more like 70, but okay.
Yeah.
A little bit NA bias there from the old Steam.
Oh, TPD, nice Nightmare. Buys him a little bit of time. One more. I don't think they're going to be able to find it. Bloodseeker
too
does
deep.
finish off the tower, though.
And that's the end of the Aegis there.
Uh-huh. And now the extra.
Oh, we're still going. Okay.
So all the ultimates available here for Optic. Spectre in the mid lane, of course, he does have a Haunt. There's the Glyph.
Who's going to protect DDC?
There is also an Eon Disc on the Death Prophet. So Freeze feeling a little bit safer than before. Also a 10-second BKB. So maybe part of the reason why they want to commit to this. And hard for Optic to really do much.
Oh, Zai's in the back.
They watch the tier 3 tower fall. Zai channels the
There's that
Epi. This could be
vision.
big. This is Intron. It's a 5-hero back wall. Epicenter on top. They kill 2. Make it 3 straight away. This is the turn for Optic. They have not lost any yet. The Darkseer low. Freeze survives only because of the Eon Disc. But they get obliterated. It's a 4-0. And it's like you are some sort of a prophet, sir.
Well, I don't want to say I told you so, but I didn't because I said it was highly unlikely. But they did it. They pulled it off. The
That was-
blink reveal. That was completely picture perfect. I mean, Zai smoked on the side, the 5-man vacuum. Now, how much of that can you attribute to Optic? Like, there is the fact that you got to put yourself in a 5-man vacuum AoE.
Yes.
I don't know if VGJ.Thunder hadn't seen the Blink Dagger.
But
they weren't aware it was picked up.
It was the way they positioned it. It reminds me so much of that key play they made in Game 2 where they had that wraparound that really secured the game for them. Exact same thing.
True.
VGJ.Thunder were very spread out there for a lot of that until they started to retreat, and they did not expect Zai to be in the back. Zai gave that vision that they needed, and Darkseer said, this is our moment. They're on the retreat, and they catch all 5. Absolutely perfect
And
from Optic.
like the power of the Spectre, the haunt there for that vision, just be like, look, go. Like,
Incredible.
here it is.
And replay here as you take a look, just absolutely beautiful.
Now, this opens up some questions as to, like, all right, BKBs, can we be a little faster on those? You know, like maybe a BKB for the Bloodseeker. We're at that point. He is back for it now. He's going to have it in the next fight.
Yeah.
They still have a 5K lead. Now down to 4, now down to 3. All right, it's dwindling fast.
It is. The
Lead
gap
is
has been
falling.
closed. They did get a tier 3 tower out of it, so that is one positive. But Pipe now up on the Darkseer on top of his Blink Dagger. Manta Style also completed on the Spectre, and a Blink Dagger is up on the Dragon Knight. Also Zai now just about at that Yule Scepter, just needs the recipe. So things have really turned in favor of Optic. The state of this game is so much better.
Now, the hard part is, though, you have to do it again. Now, everything's back up. You got the haunt, you got the epi and everything, but you need that one more, like, push you over the hump. You just bought all these new items. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Well, Honk gets used here, and there's the initiation from CC. Another great back wall. They get 2. DDC and Fade both go down. Instant buybacks. Bean Script onto Yang. He's getting low, and he's not going to be able to survive. But on the backside, Sylar and Freeze. There's the rock. It connects on 3. Fatal Bonds with big damage. CC and C goes down. Huge buybacks from VGJ.Thunder, but they are turning this fight around, and now this Spectre's in trouble. He's going to try to TP out, and he will not be so lucky. Pycat goes down, and Optic lose 3. The fight is a 3-for-3. It's not a net worth gain for VGJ.Thunder because of the buybacks, but they do get the control.
Yeah, they get a lot of experience, and they also have a dead Spectre for 60 seconds. Now, can they actually get anything out of this? Because they've used all those ultimates. You know, there's no exorcism for the push. Sylar is pretty scary, and he'll have his BKB back up for about 20 seconds or so while Spectre's still down, but largely they're just going to be scouting over the Roche Pit. Fade goes in, but it's a long spawn, buddy. Hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
You're not going to find that. That would have been a perfect end to that. Zai gets caught trying to TP.
I wonder, does this give them a little bit more of a window where they can try to siege, knowing that the Sand King is stuck on the other side of the map?
It's just too slow. Like, you're not going to get anything
without the
valuable.
exorcism. That's true. They had to use it in that last fight. And, of course, no buyback available on the Spectre.
And they're just hoping to maybe cut off Zai, actually.
And they might be successful. He gets silenced. Does disjoint the concussive, but now is the
Triple silence.
extra silence. And Spirit Siphon to boot. That's the Yule Scepter from the DP. Zai does not have his complete yet. Definitely buying some time for himself. That Blink Dagger will be coming back up pretty soon, but another silence, a Spirit Siphon.
That gem on Fade.
It's a pretty pesky hero to try to deal with, and he blinks into the other side of the tree. Zai's actually going to live through that.
Yeah, now it's kind of like panic TPs. It's just like, oh, how many from up top?
How many friends does he have nearby? And VGJ.T will be able to make it back. No casualties.
Oh, Optic back in the game. One big play from the Darkseer.
This team knows how to make fans. I'll tell you what, though. Take this to the stretch, look like you're up against the odds, and then make a play like that to level out this game.
Well, we were waiting for 3-3 to become the key player. Easy. Found it right there.
And giving us some faith in the Darkseer, that's for sure.
So where do we go from Sylar now? He has his BKB. He's got 3K gold. He's having a little bit of trouble, it feels like, in these fights. In terms of just like everyone's a little bit tankier. Everyone's got a little bit of mobility going on here.
I mean, that is a little bit of the problem with the Bloodseeker, right? He doesn't really scale that well compared to other like position 1 carries, the way Sylar's kind of been playing.
He turns into like utility in a lot of ways, where it's just like this really irritating, like 25 especially, with the non-stop blood rights becomes so obnoxious.
Yeah, that's 100% uptime, basically. Well, 6-second duration, 6-second cooldown.
Yeah, you got a cast time, basically.
Right, you got a cast time, yeah, but it's obnoxious. That's the right word for it, 100%.
And then we all know this is just coming down to Roche for the most part.
Is this a potential Aghanims game for the Bloodseeker? Is that crazy?
It depends if he wants to spec more in towards like damage or if he wants to pass it off to someone else. I don't think he has anyone to pass it off to. You have like a Shadow Fiend mid? Maybe. You can go that way.
Yeah.
Shadow Fiend's going to land the right clicks. He's got a Death Prophet. I feel like he needs to be on the front line just hitting, and he needs as much damage as possible.
So maybe like a Basher, kind of
Something
like
along
a
those lines.
Abyssal
Yeah,
type.
I feel like that would be pretty damn good.
Oh, smoke on smoke action here. CC and C on the low ground. This is so tense, Trent. There's the haunt. They reveal it. Zai jumps in, catches the initiation, but Freeze. He'll use his BKB and the exorcism. PDC gets off the ultimate before going down. The Crimson Guard mitigates enough damage. It's CC that falls first. VGJ.Thunder.
He's still alive?
looking okay in this fight, and they actually saved their Warlock. Now PyCat gets found. It's a buyback from the DK, but he does not have the Elder Dragon form. PPD with a nice Phoenix Grip from the low ground gets interrupted. They've killed Fade, but Freeze is in the front lines, and he's doing the big damage. Darkseer getting low. The Eon Disc actually keeping him alive a little bit longer on the backside. It's Zai with a good ultimate to finally kill the Warlock, brings down the Bloodseeker, and the DP dies. After all that, it ends up being Optic's fight. A buyback is used by Sylar straight away, but very convincing for the Radiant.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll grab Yang. Looks like it. CC jumps in, Blink, Dragon Tail, and it's going to be a dead Nightstar.
And the only buyback was the one from CCNC, and he ends up helping to secure that last kill. So
yeah,
completely
totally
worth it in the end. 4 heroes dead. 50 seconds there, might be able to force a buyback on the death problem, but even if she buys back, where do they head?
No exorcism. Let's look at that recap, and it's a huge swing, a 4K net worth jump, including that buyback on that Bloodseeker.
Now, they weren't able to bring the Warlock down in time, but who did he ult? He ulted just CCNC. Like, there wasn't a huge impact from the goal in this fight. He doesn't hit the 5-man, and that's where that whole, like, clustered Radiant team doesn't get completely screwed over. A little bit of a more chaotic engagement benefiting them.
Tier 3 mid, under siege, but the glyph will be enough to buy them time, and Optic back out. Now the Heart of Tarask, picked up by Spectre. PyCat going to be absolutely beefy here, jumping from 2,400 HP to 3,600.
Yeah, you're losing that net worth edge, you're losing control of the map, and Spectre just more and more items. And the further the break between these fights, look at this, 10 seconds, Haunt's back up. It feels like they just used it and won that fight. Like, late game, that's why this hero just becomes so ridiculous, because they're using it to get the perfect initiation every single time. Flawless vision.
Yep.
They know if they can take that fight or if they have to bail.
Yeah, this is that stage of the game where you're pretty darn happy to have a Spectre on your team. The Shiva's Guard now secured on the Death Prophet. You know, part of me feels like this game is going to start coming down to Roshan here, Trent.
Yep,
I think
definitely.
Aegis Cheese is going to be so key in these next fights, especially with heroes like Death Prophet. Having that cheese to reset is a complete game changer.
I think right now VGJ.Thunder need it. They need the Aegis cheese. If
if
they get
Optic-
it, they don't win.
Yeah,
if
and if Optic get it, it's over,
Yeah,
basically.
it feels like they just win instantly. if they
Spectre
get
with
it.
Aegis is incredible at this stage of the game. There's really no other word for it. The amount of damage you return just from dispersion alone from 2 full lives is pretty absurd. Very hard to mitigate.
So they're all playing around the area. Golem, the only thing not up yet, but it's just 5 seconds away. We'll be all good. And he has that help with the Glimmer Cape now, too. He really needed an item on BBC.
Yeah, he was in poverty mode for a lot of this game. Now PPD forward just a bit too far. The first silence, the second silence now. The Lotus Orb trying to help him out, and Zai actually does keep his teammate alive. Who's got that Lotus Orb?
Oh,
it's up on Zai
now, though. It's like, do you go back in? Like, can we ever Roche when Haunt's up? Like,
Not confidently. I guess it's pretty
they're
scary.
going to try and force fight with the smoke, but every time the smoke pops, they just instantly Haunt.
Yep, there's Zai. There's the Haunt. Immediately, CCNC jumps in. It's a pretty decent back wall, but there's the Warlock ultimate. Who's actually going to take this fight? Fade goes down first, but 3-3 goes down right after. Buyback immediately from the Darkseer to get back into this fight. Sylar's BKB is done. Freeze has lost his Eon Disc, and PyCat, he's in the front lines. He's big, he's bad, and he's
Sylar's
beefy.
just run.
On the other side, Zai trying to chase him down with that Epicenter. Freeze now starting to run low on resources, and they are just tanking this Exorcism. It does not do nearly as much as that early game. And wow, 2 for 3. The buyback from 3-3, absolutely worth it. But no buybacks available on the 3 dead heroes of VGJ.Thunder. Most importantly, that DP.
Yeah, and that BKB ended for Sylar, and he got used up, and then he just ran. And your Death Prophet is completely abandoned in the river, and it feels like the fight and possibly even the game are just over at that point.
He's gone for Scotty now on the Bloodseeker and help beef up a little bit. Not a bad idea, but don't know if it's going to be enough. Now Roshan under assault from Optic.
No,
Looks like they're going to get it. Yeah, no way to stop it here. Big ulti's down. So things looking very grim for VGJ.Thunder all of a sudden.
Oh, the end one just way too greedy
He
to be
pulls it
this
back
close.
into the Centaur, connects with the stun. And I think they'll be able to kill Yang. There are some supports up on the high ground.
There's still 30 seconds, no DP. There's no reason to not chase, really. And they saw that Warlock, too.
Yeah, they're going to go for DDC instead. They know he doesn't have a chaotic offering with him in the grave. All of a sudden, that high
Dumps
ground
a
gets a
ward
lot
on the high
easier.
ground. Oh, no.
PyCat just too massive right now. He still has that Aegis of the Immortal. He's all alone, but just charging up to the high ground, happy to return that damage. especially with the Blade Mail. Skywrath Mage there did not have a Mystic Flare.
Optic Gaming, pull a game back from the brink. I mean,
The
you could say you
actual brink.
predicted him to win, but I don't know if that really counts when you're down 10K and then hit a 5-man vacuum. I mean, that is a game that, by all rights, should have been VGJ.Thunder's. But Optic, they pulled it out. They had that clutch hero with Darkseer. Now, I can't say it's over, of course. We built up another 8K lead, but it just doesn't feel like they have the same heroes. They don't have the Darkseer. They're basically fully reliant on Warlock and some crazy Fatal Bonds, but we have a lot of BKBs right now. As long as those are off, yes, it's going to pierce through, but we're not going to have to worry too much about like CC&C going down or something. We have the Aegis going on. We got a Hood. You know, they have answers.
And Nullifier going to be up next on Spectre. So the cherry on top for Pycat to complete his build and become the proper carry, have the lockdown, and also the big right clicks. It feels like Haunt is just the trump card in this game. You brought it up a couple times, but as soon as that Haunt comes, there is nothing that VG can do but try to mitigate the damage and spread out. Yeah. It's pretty
like,
brutal.
You don't want to instantly BKB when it's popped, because then what if they just like don't initiate on you, they pick a different target and everything, but you kind of have to.
PPD, triple silence, but the back wall again from 33. Big damage coming onto the Dire. DDC goes down first. The rock is just a non-factor. BKBs have been used and soon to expire. Pycat's still in deep. Remember, he's got the Aegis, so he's okay to fall here. Spectre coming back. The Bane died in the fray, did buy back, already made it back into the fight. Now stun onto the Night Stalker. The Exorcism still at about half duration. Dire hanging on for now, but Yang getting low, has to retreat. They've lost the tier 3. Pycat caught by the 8 toes, but Manta's there and Freeze evaporates. Now into the tier 4, Zai goes in, they finish off the Skywrath, and this is looking like the beginning of the end here. Trent, the Fiend's Grip onto the Night Stalker, and that's it. GG. Optic take it after a disastrous game 1. They secure the series in stunning fashion.
Very well played there. Team effort on that high ground defense.
Oh,
gotta
look, a level
love
5
it.
Dagon. That's nice.
That was some emotion. I saw claps. PBD knows. He's like, that was a little tight.
It's got to feel good to win that series. That was a really well-fought, tight series. VGJ.Thunder, they brought their A game. They looked good in parts of it. They fell short in parts of it, but they made Optic work hard for that win.
Yeah, and feels like, man, Sylar was on the roller coaster today. Game 1, domination. Felt like the whole game ran around him with the Lycan. Game 2, invisible, and not just in Moonlight Shadow, mostly invisible in Impact. And then Game 3, really fast start.
Yeah.
And then invisible in the late game. He's been, you know, he went A, B, and then a little bit A and B.
That's the MO for Bloodseeker, though. He started off super strong. He had 3 kills early on, and you know, once you get 40 minutes into a game, 50 minutes into a game, Bloodseeker just feels a little too
I know it hurts, buddy, but we have to concede.
We do.
We picked VGJ.Thunder.
We had panel versus casters. The panel was superior, and now let's hand it back to them for a little bit of gloating.
Yeah, VGJ.Thunder did make them sweat a little bit, but Fate was never really lost in Optic, especially in Pycat Spectre here with Nahaz, Fogged, and Gods. And it was a pretty close match for the majority of the game, wasn't it, Nahaz?
That was 25 minutes in. They were down 10K, was Optic, a 25-10 kill lead on the side of Thunder, and Optic had taken some fights in the mid-game with Spectre on the brink of Radiance that just felt just a little bit getting a little ahead of themselves. But at the end of the day, once Spectre had the Radiance and 33 started hitting those walls.
I mean, they got a 5-man vacuum epi combo. Freeze got BKB off.
I do want to point out that right before that happened, Fog was like, oh no. This is gonna be. they're gonna lose the game. Aegis is gonna time out, and Optic is gonna take a fight. And like a couple of seconds after that, boom, one more combo time.
Oh, Optic had it perfectly timed.
I think they took a little bit too long to hit the base on Thunder. They let the Haunt come back online. They let pretty much everything enemy. It was literally just a perfect setup, to be honest.
I really think it was. When they had that big lead at 25 minutes, I started feeling really anxious when they didn't take a fight for the next 3 or 4 minutes. That's, I mean, it's a short window of time, but it just felt like they were so far ahead.
Here we go. It's a moment of silence.
Oh man,
Island, just let them appreciate the beauty.
Oh, it's just so good.
It was perfect.
It was really nice.
Picture perfect. You can see that they were 10K gold behind. Now we're gonna look at that net worth.
And smoked up, because it was a dire ward. They were ready for a potential flank, but no one pops the smoke. Sand King is just out of range. Darkseer gets the perfect jump. Absolutely beautiful. It
did feel like Thunder, they were on a bit of a timing in this game. They got a lot of pretty advantageous fights. They got a great amount of pickoffs in like the river. I saw CC&C die. I think he was 0-3-0 at one point in this game. They kept finding him in the river. They caught Pycat a couple times. Definitely was concerned for Optic, but they kept their composure toward that later stages, and it did feel like Thunder, they had that timing window. It's like once it gets closer and closer to that 35-minute mark, if they don't have Aegis Cheese, if they don't have full map control, you're in a very scary position because you're always getting jumped on. Haunt into an instant either Sand King stun or an instant Dragon Tail, and the fight becomes difficult.
It does feel like if they played it safer, though, they could have sealed the win there. Because like when you're up that 10k gold lead, 25 minutes in, they got the Aegis, they can back off after that tier 3 tower, wait for next Roshan, wait for next Exorcism. I think they're looking in a pretty good spot. But
I think they had
got
one
caught
more.
too many times.
We were talking about it right backstage, and I think they had one more Roshan, right? That
They had one more
they really needed to do something on that next rush. But yeah, you want to talk about keeping composure though? How about Zai? Zai was 0-7, channels an epicenter to kill a Bloodseeker illusion, and I thought, I mean, at that point in the game, I just thought Optic were going to be out of it, but he stayed involved, and you just saw the huge files play the game, the 5-man epi.
Should Optic have been so far behind at the start of the game? Because it felt like they were getting run over. It felt like it was going to be over real fast.
They were, I mean, you're saying like it's a run over. They were kind of the ones picking the fights a lot of times, which we were all like a little confused. Like sometimes when you're picking fights and you're like, okay, they don't have either Warlock ulti or Exorcism, picking the fights can work, but they were picking the fights into both of those a lot of the time. So it did seem a little weird, but
And
in the end they won.
It does, but it starts with things like, even before the mid-game that we're talking about picking these fights, you know, it starts with Zai diving a tier 1 tower against a level 6 Bloodseeker. It's like there were just a bunch of plays that Optic felt like they were pressing early on.
And then, yeah, Spectre becomes Spectre. You get your Manta, get your Heart, and here we're going to see Freeze die in a quarter of a second once he once Pycat runs in with the Blade Mail.
Blade Mail.
Blade Mail plus Dispersion. It's pretty good once you get that farmed.
Was a close game though.
Was very